It's the J.R. Joker Show, featuring J.R. Joker. Not appearing on tonight's show, John Legend, Tony Bennett, and Harry Connick Jr. And now, here's the main performer of the J.R. Joker Show, a man who needs an introduction, J.R. Joker. Hello, gang. Hope you're enjoying the lockdown. I'm in month 10? 10. Month 10. In 10 days it'll be 10 full months that I'm locked in. Originally the office told me to go home, work from home, and I did. And then 2 months the office called me and said the government budgets, I work for the government budgets have been slashed. Goodbye. Yes, it's tough. It's no joke. I mean, 100 years from now, they'll be talking about it like we're talking about the plague from 1,000 years ago, and so we'll definitely be talking about this, not me personally, 100 years from now, sure, absolutely, our great-grandchildren will be talking about it. And my grandpa told me that he didn't leave his house for a year. Hey, but my wife is terrified of meeting anybody, but I mean, anyway, so there's no punchlines here with the pandemic. So we'll do the best we can. Okay, so today's topic is coffee. Karma and coffee. If you've been tuning into some of my episodes, you'll hear some of my true stories. And I do have like an inordinate amount of unusual things happen to me, but I am not proactive. I'm not even making them happen. I don't do anything. It's just like, talk about Mr. Go with the flow. All this stuff happens to me. I believe in predestination. I believe I'm born with this. I believe in karma. And I mean, somewhere out there in the universe, when I was about to be born, it's like, hello, Karma Central, may I help you? Who? Who's about to be born? J.R. Joker? Holy cow, hold on a minute. We got enough karma to last a lifetime right now? I mean, we're expecting in a new shipment, right? I heard about this guy. He's just going to get like this craziest stuff happening to him. Okay, all right, well, order another shipment in case anybody else gets born, Okay, yeah, we'll take care of that right away. I just have this stuff happen to me. What can I say? So, you've heard a few of my escapades in my episode escapades, and that are accelerating. So, in this one, coffee will lead us to a very true story. Actually, everything I say is true. Unfortunately, maybe not really funny, but true. Coffee. So, yeah, I went to live in Colombia when I was a young man. I was a very adventuresome young man. I wouldn't even call that proactive. I went there. Well, okay. I was smoking weed, and the price had gone up to $20 for an ounce. And I said, like, where do they grow this stuff? And they said, Colombia. And I said, really? South Carolina? They grow pot in South Carolina? No, you idiot. It's a country in Colombia. Ooh. And so I went down there. But, and they export something from there, it starts with C-O, 2 syllables. It's a stimulant. That's right, coffee. They actually export more coffee than cocaine. But I was more into depressants or calming things like pot. And then people started offering me coffee. I never drank coffee until I went to Colombia. But I mean, everybody offers it to you. How many times can you say, no, gracias, or gracias, no? Sometimes they speak backwards down there. Casa Blanca, house, white house. So eventually I didn't want to be rude. I mean, sometimes poor people, you're in the countryside, these people live in a shack, and what are they going to offer you? Champagne? Oh, this is an interesting vintage, try this. No, I mean, this is it, man. This is, everyone's got coffee down there, so they offered me coffee, and eventually, oh, sí, gracias, que rico, delicioso. But I had this friend, I lived in Bogota, the capital city, for a long time as a school teacher, and my roommate, this guy Bob from England, he drank tea. He's probably the only guy in the whole darn country that drank tea in Colombia instead of coffee. We'd go to restaurants, and the waitress would say, like, ¿Qué deseas? Now, what do you desire? What do you want? And I just, whatever. I said whatever's on the menu, easiest thing to say, café con leche, coffee with milk. And so the waitress would turn to Bob and say, ¿Qué deseas? And he kept forgetting that tea is te. The letter T is te. The drink tea is te. And so the waitress would say, ¿Qué deseas? And he'd say tea. It's like, well, I think guys do try to pick up waitresses like that, even in English. What would you like? And, say, you. He'd get slapped in the face quite a lot. But I mean, I think it was, this Benny Hill thing, where you say tea. Oh, I meant te. And, but sometimes actually he'd score that way. But I mean, like, when the order went in for tea, when the waitress took it back into the kitchen, I think they would panic all the time, like, tea, we don't have no tea? Where are we going to get the tea? Oh, I loaned the tea bag to Cafe Real down the road. Somebody go hop on the scooter, go get the tea bag and bring it back. We only got one tea bag on the whole city. What are we going to do? So, and so he'd eventually get his tea, and I always got my coffee. But unless I'm mistaken, he's probably still drinking tea to this day, and I hear from him once in a while. Oh, call the word police. I mean, that expression, unless I'm mistaken, is the worst caveat in any language, in the English language. To say that means you can get away with anything, unless I'm mistaken. I think Saran wrap was invented by Genghis Khan, unless I'm mistaken. You just cover yourself totally, just anything, anything. So kids in school, unless I'm mistaken, I believe Sofia Vergara discovered the Mississippi River in the early days of the conquistadores, just unless I'm mistaken. So anyway, so coffee. My main coffee doesn't even take place in Colombia. After hanging around many years drinking a lot of coffee, oh yeah, by the way, it was a stimulant. I was talking about it being a stimulant, and I would smoke pot and calm down. So, I'd smoke some pot and mellow out, and then I'd drink some coffee so I could wake up and do my job as a school teacher. So, like, here's normal, and I'd smoke some pot, then I'd have to drink some coffee to get back up to normal, and then I didn't like being overly stimulated by the coffee, so I'd smoke some more pot and come back. Anyway, it was up and down and up and down and up and down, until finally I figured out, well, I won't smoke pot and I won't drink coffee, and I'll just be where I'm ending up anyway, normal all the time. So anyway, I come back to United States after about 10 years down there, and now I'm a coffee drinker, and it's like the middle of June, and it's hot, or as they might say, in Miami, hot is very, very hot. And coffee had made Miami until they introduced cafecito, which is like these little tiny sugars of really sweet coffee, and it's got more sugar than coffee in it, and just really sweet, but it's a real jolt of caffeine too, so between the sugar and the coffee, just everyone's buzzing all the time. So until they introduce that, they're probably sitting around oh, it's very, very hot, I don't know what to do, I can go and do the work, it's very, very hot. And then finally some guy said, hey, have some cafecito. All right, I tried the cafecito, okay. Hey, let's open a bank. Let's build some condominiums. Let's get busy. and that just like made the city. So anyway, I stroll into town, and I'm on Calle Ocho for people who are looking at this in other continents. Calle Ocho is 8th Street. It's the like main drag. It's this one-way street, Southwest 8th Street, Calle Ocho, which is like all Cuban businesses. I mean, it's the original, like what they call a Pequeña Havana, Little Havana. And so like it's just coffee, coffee, coffee. You can't find an American newspaper. I mean, an English language newspaper or anything like that. And I'm not bigoted against immigrants, not at all. I am an immigrant. I'm from a small island off the coast of the main continent of North America. I'm from Brooklyn, and my wife is an immigrant. She's from Colombia. So I mean, I'm not xenophobic. Y'all come, y'all come. My great grandfather moved here in the 19th century, and even all the xenophobes. And basically, unless Geronimo is your grandpa, you're immigrant stock. So, I mean, Miami itself, look what it stands for: MIAMI. Many immigrants and more immigrants. Miami. Okay, so I'm on Southwest 8th Street, Calle Ocho, Little Havana, and it's hot, and I'm wanting some coffee, but it's hot again. Did I mention it's hot? So I figured iced coffee. Yeah, an iced coffee would go down just fine right now. So I stroll into the closest place, which basically in Calle Ocho or almost any place in Miami can be anywhere. You can get coffee. You can just wander into a notary public's office, a dentist's office, an architect's office, and score some coffee. Hey, you got any coffee? Yeah, yeah. They all have little coffee making machines. No, actually, they're not that little. They're actually pretty darn size of a Buick. Some of them actually make a lot of coffee. And but I happen to be in an actual real cafeteria, which is what they call them, but they're not like our word for cafeteria, where you can get like, mashed potatoes and roast beef and all that crap. So, and I order un café helado, por favor. I'm trying my Spanish. I mean, I have kind of learned to speak Spanish. I'm sure I have a gringo accent, but not so bad as some gringos I've heard. It's like more or less, más o menos. Un café helado, por favor. And the girl says, ¿Qué? ¿Cómo? What? Huh? And I thought, God, is it my accent? So I'll try a little slower, a little more distinctly. The thing about Spanish is you have to really open your mouth. Americans barely move their mouths when they talk. So if you're going to speak Spanish, si va a hablar el español, tiene que abrir la boca. And so I opened my boca, my mouth a little more. Said, un café helado, por favor. Un café con hielo, por favor. A nice coffee, a coffee with ice. ¿Qué quieres? What do you want? Apparently, she, or this whole area, hadn't glommed onto iced coffee. They actually didn't know iced coffee, which, I mean, coffee is their whole life, You'd think they would know every single way you could consume coffee, Well, actually, I'm surprised they don't have coffee popsicles. They have coffee-flavored ice cream, for God's sake. Anyway, so, I'm going to explain it to her. It says, café con hielo para refrescarse, coffee with ice, like iced tea to refresh yourself. So not like a small crowd is building around me here. I mean, it's like nothing much happens around here. Senora Lopez had twins like 3 months ago. They're still talking about that, But now here's this gringo who wants ice in his coffee. Oiga, mire, ese gringo quiere hielo con su café. And they're talking about it, I'm like peeping in the window, in the doorway, So I'm going to walk her through it. ¿Tiene un vaso, señorita? Do you have a cup, miss? Oh, sí, claro, tenemos copas aquí. Okay, great. She's all happy to have cups, Okay, ahora, si fuera tan amable, if you would be so kind, llenar el vaso con hielo. ¿Tiene hielo? ¿Cubitos de hielo? Do you have ice? Oh, sure we have ice. Sí, para tomar con Coca-Cola. Okay, but yo no quiero Coca-Cola. I don't want any Coca-Cola. I want coffee. So, llena el vaso con los cubitos de hielo. Fill the glass with the cubes of ice, with the ice cubes. And now they're just like, they can't believe it. All these people in the door and the window and next to me, they're looking at this. Wow, this is amazing. Ahora, coge el café que es caliente y fresco, no? Now get the coffee, which you've just made, which is hot and fresh, and pour it over the ice. And now she's looking at me, because this is the moment of truth. ¿Tú quieres que yo echo este café encima de ese hielo? And she just repeated it, like step for step. You want me to pour hot coffee over this ice? Sí, sí, por favor. So now, like, people are starting like back off, and they're just thinking like in this tiny little room, this tiny coffee shop, shards of jagged ice are going to be ricocheting off the walls as soon as she does this. They've never heard of anything like that, and they're actually like, so I assure the girl this is what I want, and she just goes like, okay, muy bien, señor, lo voy a hacer. And she pours the coffee over the ice. There's no ricocheting shards of fragmented ice or anything like that. I just take and go. She charges me, pay whatever I want. No. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Que esté bien. Thank you very much. You stay safe. And I leave, and all the gringo, I'm the only gringo, all the people there, are looking at each other. Yo trato uno de esos. I'll try one of these. Next day they put it on the menu. And they didn't even give me credit. So anyone that drinks iced tea in Little Havana or maybe Miami, you know who to thank. Now I understand Sofia Vergara, we mentioned it earlier. This is like one of her favorite things, iced coffee. She's never even thanked me.